On today's episode of the Cryptoverse, we're going to look at the movers and shakers of the day. We're going to look at the Bitcoin price chart and see if I called it right or wrong yesterday when I sold my position. We're going to look at the new countdown for Segwit2x. We're going to look at Coinbase saying they're going to support both of the Bitcoin forks. Japan strikes again. BitFlyer is going to announce, or launch rather, some prepaid debit cards. I'm going to be speaking at the CryptoFinance 2017 conference in Norway next week, and also the first exchange using the Ethereum OX protocol has launched on the mainnet, albeit in beta. But in any case, all of that coming up in today's episode of the Cryptoverse, so stay right there. Hi there guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. I'm your host, Chris Coney. So let's get into it with the movers and shakers of the day. Across the board today we seem to have a mixed bag of altcoins going down and altcoins going up. The biggest story of the day is Bitcoin is gaining more dominance. We'll take a look at that chart in just a second. NEM seems to be a big mover of the day, 9.5% gain today. We've got some big losers like Waves down at 10.89%. We've got chains like Arc and Ardor. Like Arc is up 13.8% and Ardor is up 17.75%. Now these two are similar. Now don't kill me. They're similar in their fundamental use cases in the sense that Ardor sells itself as a blockchain as a service, meaning if you want to build your own blockchain but don't want to do it from scratch, Ardor is a possible choice for that. And Arc similarly sells itself as like the push button clonable blockchain. So that's what I mean by fundamentally they're the similar use case. Now the way they go about that is different. So that's why I said don't kill me, because I'm just giving a general overview of that. So I find that interesting that both of those are up by significant amounts. Generally what people are saying online today is that it's Bitcoin's rise to the detriment of altcoins. However, I do not see that. There is the odd altcoin that is doing all right. Like Salt is doing okay, 10x is doing okay. So it's kind of, it's checkered, let's call it that. There are some uppers and some downers. Even Steam is only down by 0.3%, so it's pretty stable. In the top 10, again, Bitcoin's up 4.4%, and then a couple of downers like Ethereum and Ripple, Bitcoin Cash stable, LiteCoin and Dash down a bit, and then we saw NEM as one of the biggest gainers of the day. But in terms of the big move for Bitcoin, a lot of people are referring to this chart, which is the overall market capitalization and Bitcoin's dominance. Right now, it's what Bitcoin's at 52.2%. But then if we look at the share versus other altcoins, we can see this little line here, which shows, I think that's Ethereum. Yeah, Ethereum today has a 19.2% market share. No, that's not right. That's yesterday. 18.5% for Ethereum. And then we have 52.4, according to this chart, for Bitcoin. So of course, when Bitcoin goes up, the rest of the market has to go down because there's only 100% of the pie to go around. And if Bitcoin accounts for 53% of it and that goes up, that share has to come from somewhere. So it has to come from altcoins, right? Now, there is some speculation that this may be people loading up on Bitcoin in preparation for like the Segwit2x hard fork that's coming up, which we'll look at the countdown in just a mo. Because now everyone's had an experience, you see. Because we've been through the Bitcoin Cash hard fork, now a lot of people are familiar with the idea that the amount of Bitcoin you hold at the point where it forks means that's how much of the new coin you get. So similar things going to happen with Segwit2x. If that splits off and you have 10 Bitcoin, you can end up with 10 Bitcoin on that chain as well. So maybe people who are not necessarily supporting Segwit2x just see it as an opportunity to get some free coins and then sell them, right? That's part of how it works. That's free market principles right there. It's not right or wrong, it's just the way it is. Moving on from there then, let's have a look at the price chart itself. I tweeted out yesterday saying, oh God, the market roundup tomorrow is going to be embarrassing because yesterday I was flapping my gums saying, yeah, I had this intuition, right? Based on all my trading experience. And I thought, yeah, I'll sell it. I'll sell my position here that I bought back in the China crash. And then what happened? Bitcoin continued to shoot up by a similar amount yesterday. And that means that I probably sold it a little bit too early, maybe a day too early. On my chart, you'll see that I have this ascending channel going on. So this is a pretty textbook trend, if you ask me. From the China crash, you had the phase 1s and the phase 2s. So phase 1 is always where it rallies, phase 2 is where it pulls back. And then you had a phase 1, a phase 2, phase 1, phase 2, phase 1. So we're in a extended phase 1 right now, and we're actually touching the top of the channel. So if I zoom right back into the last 2 days, you'll see the highs of the last 2 days. Yesterday's high was 48.79. Today's was 48.93. So is that higher? It is. Today's high was higher than yesterday's high. That's a tongue twister for you. But that's probably the wiser place for me to sell. When it hits the top of my own channel, right, by my own analysis, that would be the point where it's likely to pull back again. However, on that occasion, I chose to go with intuition over my rational analysis mind. And one isn't right or wrong, because trading is not an exact science. That's why it's quite difficult to do. It's a really fine balance between that intuition side of things, experience, and then the rational technical side. So it's a really difficult blend of skills, which is why a lot of people wash out when they try and trade successfully. In any case, excuse me, I came out at about 4,800, call it, and now it's gone, no, not 4,800, 4,600, and now I've missed out on probably a couple of $100, maybe $250 per Bitcoin worth of gains. So that's that. There seems to be some hesitation as we reapproach 5,000. That's no surprise. There needs to be a significant amount of confidence for 5,000 to break, because that's a really psychological significant number, and so on. But at the same time, we were just talking about the fact that there may be increased demand for Bitcoin purely by greed as people load up prior to the Segwit2x hard fork. Speaking of the Segwit2x hard fork though, it's still 38 days away. So you know, like when we did the countdown to Segwit activation, we were looking at the countdown every so often, and here's a site that's doing the same thing for the Segwit2x fork. So I'll link to this in the show notes as always, but 38 days away? That seems like quite early for people to be loading up on Bitcoin prior to a fork, right? So I'm not sure that is the reason why Bitcoin is rallying today. It's plausible, but I don't think people think that long term. That's what we know from people who panic sell and panic buy, is they're obviously thinking short term. So you can't reconcile that with the idea that people are thinking 38 days ahead. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below about that. How do you square those two things? Moving on, again talking about Segwit2x, this article from bitcoin.com I had in the news pool. It's a bitcoin.com article, as I say, but it's from Jamie Redman. And it says, another large Bitcoin exchange in the industry, Coinbase, has announced an update concerning the upcoming Segwit2x hard fork. Quote, customers with Bitcoin balances stored on Bitcoin at the time of the fork will have access to Bitcoin on both chains. That's a quote from Coinbase themselves. Now, they're not going to do it immediately. They're going to do the same thing that most exchanges did with Bitcoin Cash, which is make sure that the fork is successful and everything's gone well and is safe, and then they'll allow us to use it once again. Do you remember like Shapeshift during the Bitcoin Cash fork? They suspended trading on Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash temporarily, and then they brought it back, well, within a couple of days actually, once they saw that the split had been successful and everything was stable. Now, this article also says here, let's check this out. It says, of course, the recent announcement did not give away what everyone wanted to know, which was the answer to the question of how Coinbase will name each fork. Everyone seems to be hung up on this. And, you know, people are who are against Segwit2x don't want it to be referred to as Bitcoin, right? So because I suppose it's a diversion, it's a spin-off, therefore it should be given a new name. That's the argument. And Bitcoin is Bitcoin. And the direction Bitcoin is going in, the Bitcoin right now that isn't going to change should maintain the name Bitcoin. That's the argument. I suppose that's fair. My prediction right now, to be honest, is that the chain that will dominate will be the current Segwit chain. That's just my prediction. I think, barring anything else happening, which it will, over the next 38 days, I think the Segwit2x chain will sort of become, what will become of it is the same of what's become of Bitcoin Cash. It will be a minor coin with a smaller community and so on. And I just think purely by network effects, right? I'm not emotionally invested in this. I'm just thinking purely on principle and my knowledge of network systems. The fact that Segwit, the regular Segwit Bitcoin we've got now, because of its network effects, because of its dominance, because it has the monopoly, that's the basis on which I believe it will become or continue to be the dominant Bitcoin. So that's just my take on it at the time being, and I will update that as new information comes to light. And despite that big list of companies that said they were going to support Segwit2x, I still just don't think that's big enough. But again, I'm open to being wrong all the time, so that's just my current assessment as of right now. And I'm coming to you on a daily basis, so there's the opportunity for me to correct that if it's necessary. Another story from Bitcoin.com. Check this out. Japan's largest Bitcoin exchange, BitFlyer, launches Bitcoin Visa prepaid debit card. So we know BitFlyer. They giving us much joy over the last few months, and Japan in general is giving us much joy as it seems to be one of the most friendly countries when it comes to Bitcoin adoption and Bitcoin regulation and so on. So this article says that Japan's largest Bitcoin exchange by volume, BitFlyer, has announced its own reloadable Visa prepaid card. Customers can fund them using Bitcoin through BitFlyer or other blockchain wallets or Bitcoin wallets. The exchange is also giving away free gifts to 1,000 customers during the launch period. It says the cards are free to use, with neither requiring a sign-up fee nor an annual fee, according to BitFlyer's website. Good stuff. And customers can reload their cards via their BitFlyer accounts, online or using a mobile phone app. So that's cool. Say if you're a Japanese citizen and you travel internationally, you could have your bank account attached to your BitFlyer account, and then if you're in the UK or the US or wherever and you go, okay, I need some money, you use your mobile app, load some of your yen via BitFlyer onto your prepaid debit card, swipe it, and have a nice cup of tea in jolly London. So moving on from there, it says here that they have partnered with a third-party company to pull this off called Vandal. Vandal, you know, like vandalism. Anyway, I don't think that's why they called it that. It's just an unfortunate name. Vandal cards are prepaid Visa cards, made myself laugh. A product of Canmu Inc. and Orico Corporation. They've partnered with BitFlyer to issue the exchange's branded Vandal cards. Sorry, that's just going to tickle me for the rest of the show. I apologize. So there we go. If you're a Japanese citizen or like Roger here, an expat living in Japan, which is somewhere I'd like to go, then check out the old BitFlyer Vandal cards. Moving on from there, another opportunity if you wanted to meet me in person, I've just been announced or added to the roster of speakers at the BitSpace conference in Oslo, Norway, which is happening, I know this is just short notice, in 9 days' time on the 19th of October, right in the center of Oslo. So there I am. Oh, they've even put me right at the beginning of the speakers list. So other people on the bill are people like Julian Hosp, the co-founder of 10x. This fellow here, Arif, he is one of my patrons. He used to work for Microsoft. Yes, well, actually, he still works for Microsoft. It says here, business developer at Microsoft. I met him when he had a fantastic beard, which in this picture he's shaved off, which is a shame because it was absolutely fantastic. But I met him at Blockchain Money in November of 2016 in London. Good guy. He's been very supportive of me, so I'm glad that he's going to be there so I can have some FaceTime with him again. Ivan from Ivan on Tech YouTube channel, he's going to be there. Never met that guy in person. Looking forward to that. A whole bunch of other people. So this is going to be cool. The focus of this is the future of finance, and they've asked me to do a talk on the current state of decentralized exchanges. So I'm putting that presentation together right now. So if you're in Oslo, or if you want to come and meet me, you know, check it out. And of course, as always, if you want to avoid me, get out of Oslo. Final story for today. You know this thing that we talked about many months ago, the OX protocol. I covered it right when it was first announced, and I've followed it since then. So the idea is that there's the fragmentation in the Ethereum space with regards to like swapping tokens. And because so many of these tokens now are based on Ethereum, we've got the ERC20 standard, of course, That's step one, but now we need some kind of standardization for swapping them, right? In a decentralized exchange kind of a way. And that's principally what the OX or 0x protocol is for. So it's a protocol upon which decentralized exchanges can be built that fundamentally use the same foundations. Now then, this thing, RadarRelay, RadarRelay.com, is now on the mainnet of Ethereum in beta. So this OX protocol, let's say it this way, it almost allows anybody to create an Ether Delta style decentralized exchange. The thing about Ether Delta is it's completely bespoke. It's a completely set of bespoke smart contracts that's been built by those developers. The difference with Radar is that it's been built on a standard protocol, which is the 0x protocol. And then anybody could pick up the 0x protocol and build a similar competitor, if you like, to this RadarRelay system and build your own Ethereum-based decentralized exchange and make money from the trading fees, right? And you'll just compete with the others by having a nicer interface, providing any kind of added value on top. Now the 0x protocol is, it's not for profit. So it doesn't have it says on their website, they're not rent seeking. So the purpose of the 0x protocol is to pay trading fees, but pay trading fees to whomever is creating these front-end exchanges, because there needs to be some profit incentive. However, the fundamental protocol itself isn't rent-seeking. So if you want to know about the fundamental technology, then you've got to check out 0xproject.com and then get your head around that. But if you don't care about that and you just want to use some decentralized exchange that allows you to swap your ERC20 tokens between each other, then you'll check out RadarRelay.com. They've got a nice intro video and interface looks quite nice. It's still in beta, so they're saying don't do mega trades on there just yet. Don't do any big trades on there because, again, they're just still testing it right now. But from what I can see, it looks pretty good. All right, that's the final story for today. So thanks very much for joining me today, guys. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're new around here, get subscribed. And if you would like access to my very best material, such as my structured online courses that will teach you things like how to make and save money with Bitcoin, check out cryptoversity.com. All right, guys, that's all for today. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Cryptoverse. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.